Hello there, Cal Stays here. Welcome to this, what I think is going to be the final episode in this restoration of this Warden Smith. This is not a Warden Smith, although it is signed H. Smith of London. This is a pistol which I'm going to work from and copy, and I can show you what's happening with it. This is the safety mechanism here. It consists of a piece there which is protruding through the lock plate, and then that goes through a slot in the spring, so that when you bring it into half cock, say you've loaded the pistol, you bring it into half cock, then you slide in the safety, and you then cannot put it into full. This one's also got the added fence round here which engages with the frizzen, so there's a pin there that goes into the frizzen and you can't open the frizzen, so it's a good way of avoiding spilling your powder when you've got the pistol loaded. So that is what we need to replicate. So we need to make that bit, put the slot in the spring, and then make a new spring which keeps the safety tight. So I'm going to cut the slot in the spring now on my puny mini mill. Right, so that looks pretty good, pretty pleased with that. So I've put the pistol sort of back together now. I'm using modern screws as I don't want to be taking in and out those screws that I've made and mar them up, but it's in there now with the slot, and it seems to be working okay. So what I think I'll do now is, what will I do now? I'll tell you in the next segment. So what I'm going to start with this is by finding a screw for that hole there. I've got 2.5mm screw here, and it just won't go in. Now I've had a look in there with the loop there. There's no threads in there. It must have been stripped out. So I'm going to need to run a tap through it. So I've got a 2.5mm tap here. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to make the spring now for the safety. I've got the spring out of the other pistol. Let me just take some measurements. Thickest point there is 8.7, 8.3, so less than a mil throughout. I've got this thin spring steel here. This stuff is about a mil, so that'll be fine for that. I think the first thing to do is drill ourselves a hole. But first I'm going to have to anneal this, heat it up till it's glowing, and then let it cool down naturally so that it'll be soft enough to drill. So what I'm going to do now is temper this spring. So I'm going to heat it till it's glowing and then quench it in that oil. So now I'm going to fish it out and wrap it in this tin foil. So I'm going to put the spring on the hot plate now for half an hour. So it's been half an hour now, and I'll just take that off and leave it to cool naturally. So I've got the safety slide from the other pistol, and it's too long on the front there, it's hitting the hammer. Get it into half, let it go in. Now, what we can see though is it's a good basis, a good guide for us. This bit's going to be too short to allow it to go into half. So yeah, I'm going to basically make a copy of this but obviously extend that bit, shorten that bit, and see what happens. So I've got a piece of metal that I'm going to use to make the safety slide. As you can see, there's a fair bit of metal to be removed, so I'll probably do that on the mill. So I think material that we can remove straight away is along here and under here and just there. So I've got the piece in the puny mill now and start removing material. So I've got the safety slide super glued to a piece of wood here so I can drill a hole in it. I'm going to drill a 2mm hole in there. So I've got my spring now. So I've completed making all the parts for the safety now, and I'll just put it together. I've turned down the end of the screw to make that screw a bit smaller. Right, so I'll just talk a little bit about this mechanism. The spring here, I've had to do a bit of fiddling with this. I bent the spring wrong. The spring shouldn't bend there. It needs to bend from there, in that range there. So I've had to redo that, and obviously tweak the lugs on there. Now the pin that holds it needs to be that is a piece of drill bit, 2mm drill bit, and you need to get that right. The diameter, you don't necessarily need to use 2mm, but you need to know exactly what the size of that pin is, because then you need to drill exactly the right corresponding hole so that it's held tightly, not tightly by the spring, but by this part here, by the hook, so that it doesn't wobble. That's important. And then the way you don't need a wedge. You don't need a wedge shaped pin, because you're not trying to wedge this together and hold it together. You want it obviously to be reasonably free moving, but what keeps that spring, what keeps that pin captured in there is the tension of the spring, which is adjusted by this screw. Now you really want that screw end to just be flush with the top of the lock, so you know that's not coming out. But as soon as I take the tension off the spring, pin just drops out and it all falls apart. So just loosely put it in, and then then there's no tension on the spring, so you can just slot the pin in. Then just tighten that up. It's a bit loose there. That's nice. Okay, so put it back in temporary now. Show you. So if I bring it into half and then engage the safety, I can't put it into full cock because the hook is blocking the hammer from going down any further. And take the safety off, get it into full. So that is how that works. Next thing to do is to harden all the parts, and not necessarily to harden them, but give them colour as well. Yeah. So I'm going to harden the slide and its screw now. Got some quenching oil there. Just going to heat this up until it turns a pale blue colour is really what we want. That's it, starting to see the blue really coming out now. I think I'm going to call that there. Okay, and do the same for the screw. So what I'm going to do now is just run the brush over this and try and take some of the colour off it, and hopefully it'll go back to an even darkish finish. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to leave it there for this video. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing, and links to buy me a coffee are down in the description below. Thanks for watching.